Hello and welcome to a tutorial on SVEditor, the System Verilog development environment for Eclipse. I'm Matthew Balance, Principal Developer for SVEditor. In this tutorial we will learn about using Eclipse linked resources as a way to add flexibility in setting up SVEditor projects. Eclipse, the base technology that SVEditor is built on, provides two ways in which sources are made available to the project. Sources can either be physically located within the project, or they can be linked into the project. Using linked resources can really be helpful when source files are located in many places on the file system, which is often the case in today's complex test bench environments. Using linked resources can also help when we have a complex source tree where sources are distributed across a tree, and we want to create a coherent viewport into that tree that identifies the key sources that we want to take a look at. In this example, we will have a look at using linked resources to set up a project for editing the UVM UBus example. Okay, as a first step in our example, let's set up a project around the UVM UBus example. Now this example is buried down inside the UVM tree. But we also want to be able to see the UVM core packages. We want those to be indexed such that we can cross-link between the example source and the UVM library. So the first thing we'll do is to just create a basic project. And we'll call this UBus, and we will create this around the UBus example in the UVM tree. Okay, but we also need to get to the UVM library source, which is located in the source directory here. So the easiest thing that we can do to link this source into our project is actually just to drag it onto our project. And Eclipse will prompt us for whether we want to just copy the files in, or in this case, we want to link to the project, to the folders. In this case, it's quite easy to say we want this to be a project relative link. And we now have our source directory with the UVM source located in the project. So now we can go ahead and configure our SVEditor library settings. And we will add a library path to point to the UVM package here, since that's what SVEditor considers to be a library. And we will create a source collection for each of the folders within the UBus example. So examples and SV. Okay, so now we can rebuild the index, cause SVEditor to actually index everything. And while that's working, let's go ahead and open up the ubusenv file, the environment. So as soon as the index is done here, we'll see the outline update to show the structure of this source file. And at that point, we can do some cross-linking between the elements in the file. So for example, we can select the UVM-env and open the declaration, cross-link to the declaration of this class. Or within the project itself, go find the virtual interface, the System Verilog interface here, that's ubus-if. Eclipse also supports the use of variables, and using variables helps to make your projects much more portable. Eclipse supports the definition of use of global variables that apply to all projects within the workspace. It supports definition of project local variables that are only active within the scope of a project. In addition, we can reference paths that are relative to the location of a project. In the previous example, we linked the UVM sources in via a project relative path. So we dragged the UVM source directory onto our project and created a project relative linked folder. In most test bench environments, however, UVM library will be located quite in a different location from the rest of the test bench sources. In this case, it's much more appropriate to use a variable to point to the UVM sources. So let's make that change to our project. So we'll go to Window Preferences, and in the General Workspace category, we have a Linked Resources category. So we will add a new variable, and we'll call it UVM Home, and we will point this to the folder where our UVM directory is located. So that's the examples UVM11. Okay, now we can update our reference to the source directory and make that relative to the UVM home variable that we just defined. And we can actually confirm here that this path resolves to the same location that we need it to resolve to. So after we make that change, we can confirm that we can still see all the UVM sources, and we can actually rebuild our index if we wish, just to get SVEditor to look at the same sources. In this tutorial, we have seen how using linked resources can simplify and make more flexible setup of an SVEditor project. We've also seen how using resource variables can make projects more portable. Thank you for watching this tutorial, and hope that the information has been helpful to you.